The mansion was cold, not just in temperature, but in presence. The kind of house that echoed back your voice as though even sound was lonely there. Marble floors, glass walls, and polished everything. It was the kind of place where a laugh might feel out of place. And yet, that's where Maria stepped in for the first time, holding her bag of homemade toys and a worn-out folder of references that no one ever read. She had cared for children in tiny apartments, countryside cottages, and even cramped city flats above noisy bakeries, but never a place like this. The agency had warned her. The boy doesn't talk, doesn't play. They say he's autistic. But the father he single quotes s ... complicated. Be careful. When she walked through the iron gates and rang the bell, a uniformed housekeeper opened the door without a smile. "You're late," the woman said, though Maria wasn't. Inside, she was led through long hallways until she reached a silent playroom filled with untouched toys still in their packages. That's when she first saw him, Sammy. He sat in a corner by the tall window, back turned, eyes glued to the garden as if hoping someone out there might come rescue him. His brown curls hung over his eyes, and his tiny hands clenched the hem of his shirt. "Say hello to the nanny," the housekeeper ordered. Stepping aside, Sammy didn't move. Maria took a soft step forward, crouched slowly to his level, and whispered, "Hi, sweetheart. I'm Maria. I brought some silly things with me." Still nothing. But she noticed the tiniest flinch at the sound of her voice. Not fear, not irritation, just a flicker. She took that as her invitation. That first day she wasn't introduced to the father. She only heard about him, Mr. Whitmore, wealthy, powerful, always traveling, always busy. Widowed 3 years ago, he'd buried his wife in the midst of a scandal no one spoke about anymore. He had one son and reportedly no idea what to do with him. For the next few days, Maria kept coming. She brought finger puppets, feather ticklers, and bubble wands. She didn't try to force words from Sammy's mouth. She didn't ask him to play or talk or perform. She simply sat, close enough to be near, far enough to be safe. He started watching her. Then one day, she made a funny fart. Noise with a rubber toy. Sammy giggled, a real, choked up, confused little laugh, like his body wasn't sure it remembered how. The housekeeper was cleaning nearby and dropped a glass. Maria looked up, heart pounding. "I'll pretend I didn't hear that." The woman said it became their secret. By the end of the first week, Sammy was crawling a little closer. He touched the finger puppet. He nudged her bag of toys with his toe. He still didn't speak. But Maria noticed the light coming into his eyes like dawn slowly creeping across a long dark field. One afternoon, as she helped Sammy trace paint, with his fingers on a paper plate, the door burst open. A tall man in a navy blue suit, eyes like storm clouds, filled the room. Mr. Whitmore. He was furious. Why is he touching that? He doesn't like mess. He doesn't like color. I don't want him upset. He's not upset, Maria said, standing up. He's autistic, Whitmore said coldly. He can't process things the way you think he can. Maria breathed in slowly. She was trembling, but something in her heart screamed louder than fear. She looked at the man who hadn't bent down to his son's eye level once since entering the room. "Sir," she said gently but firmly, "your son isn't autistic. He just needs love." The room went still. Even the breeze outside the window seemed to stop. Whitmore narrowed his eyes, jaw clenched. "Get out." "I'm not diagnosing him," Maria added quickly, "but I've worked with many children who are autistic. Sammy he's waiting for someone to see him." "I said, get out," he snapped. Maria left without another word. Her legs shook all the way to the gate. Her throat ached. She cried when she got home, not because she was fired, but because Sammy would be alone again, because he giggled once, because she saw him trying. But the next morning, Her phone rang. It was the housekeeper. He asked for you, she said. He pointed to the toy you left. He's been crying since you left. Maria hesitated. Is he okay? I don't know, the housekeeper said. But Mr. Whitmore wants you back. Today. When Maria arrived, Whitmore was waiting by the front door. He didn't speak. He just stared at her, face unreadable, then turned and walked away. She went back to the playroom. Sammy was in the same spot. But when she came in, he ran into her arms and held her so tight, her heart cracked. I missed you, he whispered. The housekeeper gasped. Maria looked down at him. You talked. Sammy nodded, tears slipping from his cheeks. From that moment, things changed. Whitmore started watching, at first from the doorway, later from inside the room. He saw how Sammy responded, how he laughed, how he painted, how he whispered more and more words only to Maria. 2 weeks later, during a meeting with a new therapist he had hired, Whitmore hesitated when asked about his son's diagnosis. He doesn't have one, he muttered. Not officially. Maria, invited for once to the conversation, added, he needs connection. He needs warmth, not silence. Whitmore didn't respond, but the next day he sat on the floor beside Sammy for the first time. He didn't know what to do. His hands were stiff, his voice uncertain. But Sammy reached out and handed him a crayon. They drew a sun together. It looked like a lopsided orange mess. But Sammy smiled so wide, you'd think he just built the Taj Mahal. Months passed. Sammy started preschool. Whitmore adjusted his schedule. Maria stayed on not as a nanny anymore, but something more. She became a bridge. Then one evening, Whitmore knocked on her apartment door, which stunned her. He stood awkwardly in the hallway, holding a small envelope. I found this, he said. It's something my wife wrote before she died. I think it's about Sammy. Maria opened the note gently. Read. If you're reading this, I'm gone. Please don't shut him out, Michael. He's not broken. He's your mirror. Love him. Even when it's hard. Whitmore's face crumpled. He sat on her couch and cried for the first time in years. I thought pushing him away was the only way I could survive losing her. He admitted, I was wrong. From that night, everything changed for good. Maria stayed in their lives, not just as a caregiver, but as someone who dared to speak a truth no one else had. Sammy grew into a laughing, curious, radiant little boy. Not perfect, not always easy, but fully alive. And one day, while watching him run through the garden with grass-stained knees and a crown made of paper taped to his forehead, Whitmore turned to Maria. You didn't just save him, he said. You saved me too, Maria smiled softly. No, he did that. I just reminded you how to look. The mansion wasn't cold anymore. Now it echoed with laughter.